Welcome everybody once again to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxel with my co-host, Mr. Matt Balzer. Today's episode is brought to you by Flash Wireless. So if you're in the U.S., they can look after all your cell phone needs. You can order your phone online and or pick it up from Best Buy. And what's best is if you refer 5, your service is free. Remember to like and comment and share and follow us on Facebook and or YouTube. It's B&B Hockey Talk. We thank you for all the new people that are now following us and watching us. Matt, let's get right into it. Big game tonight, St. Louis, Boston, Game 4. Boston absolutely smacked St. Louis around on Saturday, 7-2 final. Why don't you fill us in on that game and what some of your hindsight was on it?
Yeah, so Boston basically came out right off the bat and just took it to them basically, and special teams once again came up huge. Boston went 4 for 4 on the power play, and I think I brought it up in our preview that special teams were going to be key, especially with Boston's power play. Torrey Krug, huge night, goal and 3 assists. He set a Boston Bruins Stanley Cup final record for most points in a game. I think he passed Bobby Orr and Brad Park for first place. Both of those guys had 3-point games, so that's some pretty good company right there. But yeah, and then once again the depth stepped up, especially the fourth line. They combined for 2 goals and 4 points. Sean Corrali with that big goal right at the end of the first period with 9.2 seconds left. That play was reviewed for offside, but I think it was ruled that Edmondson brought it into the zone because Nordstrom was clearly offside on that play. But since the Blues brought it, I know, yeah, it was really close because I actually didn't even notice that it went off his stick before. Because all like the gifts or whatever, they kept cutting it out when I was checking them before, and then all of a sudden, then once when you go back and watch the replay, then you see it went off his stick. And then Patrice Bergeron showed up. He had a 3-point night. His first points of the series, which was also big. So, and then Tuukka Rask, he wasn't overly busy, but when they needed
he was busy. He had to fend off David Perron.
Oh man, I found that especially at the end of the second there when they went face to face after. Like I know Rask went down a little easily, but the thing is like Rask, he sort of got like. He's sort of got that temper, but he's also got sort of like that swag where you're not really going to rattle him if you do that. Because like Perron tried again right off the bat there in the third period as well. When he got the whistle, he kept trying to bump Rask or whatever. We got a good kick out of that or whatever. But he ended up getting penalized both times. And then the Blues they finally scored their first power play goal of the series. Took them 3 games. They went 1 for 5 in Game 3, and their goal was a bit of a lucky bounce as Parayko's shot was it was going really wide of the net, and fortunately went off Carlo and in. But yeah, the special teams and Boston's depth is really showing up to this Stanley Cup final.
I think from what I saw, St. Louis came flying right out of the gates. I thought they were trying a little too much to get the crowd involved in it. We saw the hits from Sammy Blythe. We saw Braden Shen absolutely run Pasternak and just miss, which would have been an incredible hit. But what has St. Louis got to do tonight? And they've got Sundqvist coming back in tonight, which I think is huge. But what do they got to do tonight to keep the crowd in it and to take this game?
Yeah, so I think the big thing is trying to get in on the forecheck and really getting in on Boston's D. I think their transition game has been really good on Boston's side, moving it out, and they really got to find a way to get that puck on net. I know it's all the cliches and all that, but and they need their depth and all their big guns to really show up and get on the score sheet, because we've seen every game Boston's fourth line has gotten on the score sheet. And I think hopefully, we're not sure if Robert Thomas or Vince Dunn will be back in the lineup as well tonight. They were both skating in the optional skate this morning. So hopefully if those guys come back, that will give them a big boost as well. But yeah, they just got to find a crack through Boston's defensive game and special teams. Once again, you gotta make sure you stay out of the box. I know Craig Berube was complaining a little bit after the game about the penalties. though I don't really think I had a problem with any of the penalties called for the most part. So I like if you go from past games, and I guess he's got a bit of an argument, but I thought it was a pretty good officiated game last game. But yeah, you just got to find a way to get that puck in the net and get in a forecheck and make sure you punished Boston's defense and get the puck in the net. Pretty basic.
It's the Bruins, man. I think every team in the league should know by now somehow there's Boston always somehow gets a break when it comes to penalties and officiating. And I don't know if it's because there's just too much going on, so they have to pick and choose what they're going to call or what. But St. Louis has definitely been in some wars going back to the Winnipeg, Dallas, and San Jose series. I think, Boston might be the smaller of those four teams that they've now faced. But Boston, to move forward, if they want to win this game, I mean, their power play is red hot right now. If that keeps going the way it's going, if the fourth line keeps going, and, of course, their big line, if they keep playing the way they're playing, I have a hard time seeing St. Louis winning this game tonight.
Yeah, because especially like even the third line, like Coyle and Johansson and Heinen had a great game. Like the only line that hasn't shown up is the Krejci line, which I'm surprised because Krejci's had a pretty good playoffs. But if they're doing that with just one line not going, and then Jordan Binnington's gonna have to have a big bounce back game. He led in 5 goals on 19 shots. None really any of his fault, I'd say, but he's got to make sure he comes up with those big saves at key times, especially early in the game. You want to keep your team in it, and then hopefully you get a bounce going your way the other way, and then you'll be able to get the crowd in behind you, and then you'll be able to feed off that. So Binnington's shown all playoffs that he's been able to bounce back, but that was also the first time he's been pulled in his career. So it's another first there for the rookies. So hopefully he can bounce back really good tonight.
And there's some Boston records that were achieved, if you want to go over those. And then, of course, we've got a player in New Jersey we want to talk about.
Yeah, so Patrice Bergeron tied Phil Esposito for second most career playoff points in Boston Bruins franchise history with 102. The guy in first place, some guy named Raymond Bourque, with 161. So I don't think he's gonna get there.
Boston made the playoffs every year, and Bourque seemed to be in on a lot of the scoring, right? So
yeah, and then also as I brought up Torrey Krug with that 4-point game, he passed Bobby Orr, who did it and Brad Park for most points in the Stanley Cup final game. Orr did it twice with 2 goals and one assist in the 1972 and 1974 in the Stanley Cup finals. And Brad Park, did it in 1977 with a goal and 2 assists. So some really nice company, and then heading into the trade rumor and all that offseason stuff. Reports coming out of New Jersey that Taylor Hall is not interested in re-signing with New Jersey at this time. He has 1 year left on his contract at a $6 million cap hit. Next summer he'll be 28 years old, so that's like right prime where you're gonna get your biggest contract. And with the way New Jersey is, like, it looks like they'll be getting Jack Hughes. But I think the big thing is with Taylor Hall, he's been really frustrated, I would say, with being on a lot of losing teams. And especially at his age, I think he's going to look to cash in, sort of like Matt Duchene this season. But if he does get traded or end up getting traded, I'd look at the Mark Stone sort of trade with that return where they got like Brandstrom, second round pick, Lindbergh, and I forget if there was another option on another thing on that. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting because unless if New Jersey can get off to a really good start this season and try to woo Hall, because the good thing with New Jersey is that they got a lot of cap space, so they will have the money to re-sign him. But he's got to be interested in staying there.
The Calgary Flames are also reportedly looking to make a couple of moves, as are the Philadelphia Flyers. Why don't you fill us in with what you've heard there?
Yeah, so with the Calgary Flames, I think they only have a little bit over $9 million in cap space, and their big signing that they got to get this offseason is Matthew Tkachuk. who's going to be looking for that $9-10 million a year. So they're going to be looking at trying to trade either TJ Brody or Travis Hamonic to free up some cap space, and possibly also Michael Frolik. All those guys have 1 year left on their contracts before their UFAs. And then with some of their younger, they have a lot of younger defensemen and forwards coming up. So if they can trade that for either young prospects or draft picks, so they can free up the cap space, they can look to do that. The Philadelphia Flyers, their GM Chuck Fletcher said they're going to be super aggressive this offseason. They'll be looking for some. Well, I think he basically said they need help in all positions. They said they'll be needing another goalie to go with Carter Hart. I know Shane Gostisbehere's name's come up in trade rumors before. He had a bit of a down year, but if I'm Philly, I'd be hoping for a bounce back year from him. And then I think they'll be looking for a number 2 center behind Sean Couturier, because Nolan Patrick hasn't exactly developed as fast, I think, as they want. So that'll take some pressure off of him. And also another thing on the Patrick Marleau front, another team's looks like the Arizona Coyotes is another team the Maple Leafs have contacted to try to figure out a trade. But I think the only way Arizona's going to take Marleau on is if they can get a big young piece, either probably Andreas Johnsson or Kasperi Kapanen in that trade. So another thing to keep an eye on, because with the Los Angeles Kings is the other team that was brought up that we talked about last week. But yeah, just some things to keep an eye on as we get closer to the draft.
Yeah, and Philadelphia is interesting because if they do make a bunch of moves, they've got, of course, a new coach there. Alain Vigneault, I think, is going to do very well, especially if they can get him a few more pieces there. So keep an eye on that. That'll be very interesting. I guess we're getting near the end of our show, but why don't you give us your final word and tell us an interesting story about the East Coast Hockey League.
Oh, yeah. So the East Coast Hockey League. So last year, the Colorado Eagles won the Kelly Cup, and you're able to keep the trophy, but you're supposed to return it at the end of December. Except they didn't do that. So the ECHL had to make a brand new Kelly Cup trophy for the championship. So I saw that. So that was a bit of a funny story. But yeah, just final word here. Thanks to all you guys. I think we just reached 300 followers on our Facebook page. So thanks for all of you guys for joining the page for either the highlights or the show. Really thankful for all you guys. And, of course, those highlights will be up for Game 4 tonight. Hopefully the Blues can win to tie the series up and send the game back to Boston tied at 2.
Nothing like watching a close Stanley Cup Finals. I don't like seeing any team going up 3-1, but, of course, both teams have had great playoff success this year so far. So I'm Aaron. He's Matt. We thank you again for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe on our Facebook and YouTube, B&B Hockey Talk. We'll be back later this week, and thanks for watching.